and welcome to Lunchtime Politics, reaching you live from our global headquarters here in the nation's commercial nerve center, Lagos. I'm Jeffrey Uzoma. This is what is coming up on the program. Yet again, the People's Democratic Party Governors Forum maintained the call for state police to help tackle the challenges of insecurity across the country. All aspirants will have a level playing field at the primaries. Though APC officials re-emphasized the governorship aspirant and contenders following the speculation that the party has a preferred aspirant. An early morning attack by bandits has left 2 policemen and 2 residents dead, as 40 persons have also been abducted in Nat'l local government area of Zamfara state. Thanks again for joining us on the program. We're coming live with the latest development in the polity from Zamfara state, where 2 police officers and 2 residents have been killed by bandits during an early morning attack on Kasuwa Daji town in Nat'l local government area of Zamfara state. Although the police spokesperson in the state, Mr. Yazid Abubakar, confirmed the attack to Channels Television via telephone, he says the number of those abducted cannot be confirmed, as initial reports by residents suggested about 40 persons were abducted. A resident of Nat'l town, Abubakar Kaura Oslo, also informed Channels Television that the bandits entered the town with sophisticated weapons, including anti-aircraft gun, to attack the hometown of a former state chairman of the National Union of Road Transport Workers, Mr. Hamisu Kasuwa Daji, and abducted one of his wives and his grandchildren. According to the police PRO in the state, the command has deployed tactical operatives to the town just to restore normalcy. Now, that development is perhaps one of the reasons why the Nigeria's opposition People's Democratic Party believes state policing is the option left to the country to manage the growing challenge of insecurity across the country. The Governors Forum of the PDP, who are the vanguard of the call on behalf of the party, are also worried about the falling value of the naira and ask the federal government to show a sense of urgency in its intervention. The chairman of the PDP Governors Forum and the governor of Bauchi State reeled out the forum's concern after their meeting in Abuja.
Governors under the People's Democratic Party arrived in the Oyo State Governors Lodge for the first meeting of the forum for the year. The meeting is holding behind closed doors to discuss the current economic challenges and security situation in the country, as well as developments within the party. After several hours of the meeting, the governors assert their position on the state of the economy and security.
We have been partnering even as opposition to make sure that we don't bring any distraction. But certainly the monetary policies and the economic policies rest here. And we can see that we know the majority of Nigerians live in the states. And so we are doing so much across party lines on a bipartisan basis within the Nigerian Government Forum, within the National Economic Council, to make sure that we cushion the effect of this, some of these policies that have far-reaching consequences on our people. We reiterate our call with the state police with appropriate safeguards to avoid any abuse or overreach by any tier of government.
The governors also discussed developments within the party.
Further, the forum passed a vote of confidence in the Iliad Amagun-led National Working Committee NWC of the party and urged it to put in motion the necessary machinery for convening meetings of the appropriate organs of the party, from caucus to the National Executive Committee (NEC) as soon as possible. We are 100% behind Edo, and you can see there is no rancor, there is no division, and we are very much behind the National Working Committee and the state chapter of the party, and indeed the governor, to make sure that we go together in unison, in unity, to produce a successor for our most respected, the eldest governor in the Governors Forum.
The governors pledged to work together to build a strong opposition, while pledging to take the necessary steps to address the impact of the high cost of living in the country.
Now, the All Progressives Congress, APC in Edo State, maintains that it has not endorsed any preferred aspirant out of the 12 successfully screened between the 8th and the 9th of February, ahead of the party's primary scheduled for Saturday, February 17th. The acting chairman, state chairman of the party in the state, Mr. Jared Tenebe, who addressed journalists in Benin City, the Edo State capital, says men and resources were deployed to the 18 local government councils of the state for the conduct of the ward delegate elections.
The APC Edo State hereby congratulate the 12 aspirants for their successful screenings and to express that the party, basking in the euphoria of this, has pillowed on the democratic tenets of unhindered and unencumbered participation of the 12 aspirants in the primaries. As the party has not endorsed or have any preferred aspirant going into the primaries fixed for 17th of February 2024. The party herefore assure all 12 aspirants that a level playing ground shall be provided them with a view to assuring a rancor-free primaries which has snowballed into blissful success in the main general election. As a prelude to the primaries fixed for the 17th of February 2024, and in line with the timetable released by the National Secretariat of our great party, the party did the membership revalidation between the 10th and 11th of February 2024. And today, a continuation of the party's desire to ensure actions that ultimately deepen internal democracy as deploy men, resources to 18 local governments of the state for the conduct of work congresses. The delegates shall affirm the result of the direct primaries. The delegate election for today are five delegates from each ward, 3 men and 2 women, that will affirm the result of the 17th February primaries that is going to be done in line with the new electoral act.
Well, the Edo governorship election is our focus on the program today. And of course, primaries have been scheduled for 17 for the APC. There are other primaries as well scheduled later in the month. I know the Labour Party should be having their primaries, I think, on the 22nd. So that's a big question right now. Who succeeds Godwin Obaseki? Who succeeds Governor Godwin Obaseki? From the APC, there are 12 candidates that have been screened. From the PDP, 10 candidates have been screened. And we understand that the Labour Party has about maybe over 30 candidates that will be gunning for that particular ticket. At the end of the day, each party out of the 18 will produce 1 candidate to be nominated by the party to stand. And the big question will still stand, who succeeds Godwin Obaseki. So that's the premise of our conversation right here on Lunchtime Politics. I'm being joined right now by a public affairs analyst to break down some of these issues as these primaries are coming up by Mr. Jide Ojo, a public affairs analyst. He joins us via Zoom. Mr. Ojo, thank you so much for coming on the program.
It's a pleasure, Godfrey. Happy Valentine's Day in advance.
You're already dressed for the moment, and you caught me off guard.
Exactly.
Totally caught me off guard. Well, while you're talking about Valentine, these politicians are not smiling. They are looking at Saturday, and some are looking at the 22nd. Every one of them, from the APC to the PDP to the Labour Party and to every other political party, are hopeful that they will eventually become the flag bearers or standard bearers of their own political party. But there's something we're seeing which I would like you to address, which is the issue of both in the PDP and the APC especially, there are suspicion that the powers that be are having preferred candidates or preferred aspirants that they want to emerge at the end of the exercise. What does this pose in terms of internal democracy as preached by these parties?
Well, Geoffrey, issue of anointed candidate or consensus candidate or preferred candidate is not new. It's been with us for as long as I remember. There are powerful interest groups and individuals who prefer one individual against the other to succeed. A particular governor, or even the governor himself, the outgoing governor may have a preferred candidate to succeed him. And we've had in the past where a former governor said, I know the person who will not succeed me, but I don't know who will succeed me. So it borders on the issue of lack of internal party democracy. When there is no level playing field for the emergence of candidates in an election. And quite unfortunately, in Edo State, we've seen a blowout between outgoing Governor Godwin Obaseki and his deputy, Comrade Philip Shuaibu. Shuaibu has come out very clearly in mincing no words that he is disappointed that his governor is not in support of his emergence as the preferred candidate of the party. Of course, there is a name that has been touted as being the preferred candidate. People are talking of Iswa Ighodalo, being a business partner of Obaseki, has been the preferred candidate. Whether he will emerge victorious at the party primary coming up later this month, it remains to be seen. But we see this across states. I think it's only in Kano where a former governor, Kwakwanso, supported his deputy governor, Ganduje, to succeed him. But we knew how it eventually even panned out when they went their separate ways. And Kwakwanso had to leave APC for PDP, later from PDP to NNPP. So politics is a game of interest, as you know, Godfrey. It's a game of interest, and where people's interests lie is where they pitch their tent. Unfortunately, if due process were to be followed, there would be no issue. But you find out that even in terms of screening, I recall that in APC, a committee was set up to screen aspirants, and they screened out some, and allow some to be among those who will contend for the. And I think that is undemocratic. These people paid, I think, 50 million. APC charges 50 million for governorship aspirant. Labour Party charges 30 million. I can't remember how much PDP charges. When someone pays this kind of huge sums of money, why would you screen such a person out? Even if they are 200, you allow them to all go for the primary. And if the aspirant ends up with a vote, he knew he lost fair and square. Not situations where you use a committee to screen out an aspirant after collecting money from such aspirants. And these are non-refundable amounts. It's not like if you screen the person out, you are going to return the amount he has paid for expression of interest and nomination form. And this is quite unfortunate. So, and in political party, you are not supposed to be discriminatory. Because membership is free, once you are 18 and above, you can join any party of your choice. And if I have been very active within the party, I've done the bit I'm supposed to do, and I decide that I have the wherewithal to contest election, no committee should find me unworthy, particularly if they are not constitutional issues like being of unsound mind, being bankrupt, being ex-convict. If those are not the basis, why should you say somebody should not contest? And this is someone you have already collected money from. So I think that those are undemocratic practices we've seen. Again, we have also seen situations where someone will join a party within a week or two, and you hand over the ticket of the party to that person under the guise that you have exercised. The community will say they've exercised their rights to waivers to grant waivers to the aspirant. And now, when you grant waivers for such circumstance, what about people who have been in the party, servicing the party, standing with the party all along? They'll feel cheated, they'll feel disenchanted.
All right, Mr. Ojo, I understand we're due for a break. We're going to go for this break. When we come back, I want us to speak to the issue of Godfatherism, because it's either we accept that it has come to stay, or we begin to look at how to work around this eventually. Edo, for instance, it has been an issue from the times of Adams or Shomole down to Godwin Obaseki, and now we're seeing things playing out. That's the question I would like you to respond to when we come back after this break. Join us again. Welcome back. Still Lunchtime Politics right here on Channels Television, and still being joined by my guest, Jide Ojo, public affairs analyst, as we take a look at the elections coming up in Edo State, especially the primary elections in the political parties. The APC should be holding theirs this weekend, and subsequently other parties will hold theirs later on in the month to decide who becomes the party's flag bearer. Mr. Ojo, thanks so much for staying with us. So let's address this issue of Godfatherism. Governor Adams Oshomole then was very clear that he fought it to a standstill, and then he supported Governor Godwin Obaseki. And then second term came, he didn't have that support. And then the former governor supported someone else. And now we're seeing some tendencies in that direction. Should we just take that this is the reality that politicians can naturally not walk away from finding out or being instrumental to who succeeds them, or this has to stop as quickly as possible?
Thank you, Geoffrey. Before Oshomole, we have Mr. Fix-It. That's the elder statesman who is dead now, former minister of Works and former national chairman of, I think, NRC. I've forgotten his name now. So he was the one that retired him. Tony Anini, God bless. Chief Tony Anini was the godfather of Edo politics for a very long time. So he was the national chairman of SDP in the aborted Third Republic, and later emerged as the Minister of Works under Obasanjo. And he dictated the political temperature and the barometer of politics in Edo for many years, until the emergence of Adams Oshomole, who retired him, humiliated him out of politics. And since then, Oshomole too has tried to transmuted into a godfather, brought in Godwin Obaseki as against Pius Ojukwu, who was then his deputy, and supported Obaseki's emergence. Obaseki then started having issues with him. I remember the popular phrase, "I cannot be a governor, I cannot be a governor." Eventually, he didn't support Obaseki for second term. By that time, Oshomole has emerged the national chairman of APC, and they fell out. And eventually, Obaseki had to leave APC to join PDP with Philip Shuaibu. So the rest is history. Unfortunately, that's what Obaseki is also trying to do now, trying to be a godfather to whoever will succeed him, even though he has openly denied that he has a preferred candidate. But back to your question, the larger question you asked, which is about whether we cannot do with Godfatherism in Nigerian politics. Godfatherism, we need to know, is a global phenomenon. It's not limited to Nigeria. It's not limited to Africa. It's a global phenomenon. There are powerful interest groups that you cannot do without if you want to survive in politics. Our incumbent president has been a godfather. In fact, I recall that when he became a president-elect, one of the newspapers couched the headline as a kingmaker becoming king. Because for so long, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, Jagaban Bogu, has been the godfather of Lagos politics. And not only Lagos politics, godfather of Southwest politics. Recall that people like John Kayode Fayemi, people like Rauf Aregbesola in Osun, people like Abiola Ajimobi in Oyo, people like even the incumbent governor of Ogun State, Abiodun. Remember the phrase Eleyi of Ogun State. Even that, the president in the lead up to the 2023 campaign openly admitted that he was the one that made Dr. Abiodun the governor of Ogun State. He also did say that he was the one that supported Yemi Osinbajo to become the to become the vice president of Nigeria. So when you look at this, you find out that I would say Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, the current president, has been a benevolent godfather. And so he's played his part. There have been several others across many states that have been godfathers. So it's a state-by-state thing. While in some states it's backfired, as we have seen in the case of Rivers State, where Nyesom Wike happens to be the godfather of Rivers politics. But it has not worked out well. But it has also worked out very well in other states.
So, Joe, it means that I wish we had time to talk about this, because we now have to look at it, positive in the larger interest of the people. Because at the end of the day, whatever the political parties throw at us, that is what we will decide eventually as a larger population. But I must thank you so much for your insight, as always, for bringing your perspective on this issue. I'll always call on you as these events unfold. Mr. Jide Ojo is a public affairs analyst. He joins us via Zoom from Abuja. Thank you so much, sir.
My pleasure. Do have a great day and happy Valentine's celebration tomorrow.
You will never let it go. All right. Thank you so much. All right, let's move on to other stories now. The Independent National Electoral Commission has presented certificate of return to Mr. Usman Mustafa, the winner of the February 3rd rerun assembly election in 5 wards and 9 polling units in Shinkafi local government area of Zamfara State. The resident electoral commissioner, Professor Ahmad Babura, who presented the certificate to Mr. Mustafa, describes the election as keenly contested by all candidates. And what else we can take on the program on Lunchtime Politics today. But hey, we're switching gears now to the National Assembly, the chambers of the Nigerian Senate, where the chief of staff or the service chiefs are interacting with the Senate over the security situation in the country. You can see Godfatherism, the president of the Senate, starting plenary. We're joining now.
Passing. I'm sure the motion would include a minute silence for those who lost their lives in the course of the AFCON. But we cannot observe minute silence for not taking the first position, for not taking gold. How can you do 1 minute silence for not coming first? So I rule against that. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, very distinguished senators of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, I stand forced to move a motion. Mr. President, on the other paper, we'll have the first to the 5th business of the day as our first readings. I am moving, Mr. President and distinguished colleagues, that we suspend every business of the day and go straight to the only order of the day, which is security briefing by the security chiefs. And of course, we have here almost the entire security architecture of the country, and it is important that we go straight into this so that distinguished senators can have meaningful interactive session and enough time to do that. So, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I move that we take only the order of the day that we have, which is security briefing, while every other business be suspended or stood down to the next legislative day. I so moved, Mr. President.
So the suspending proceedings continue with that particular process for the day, as they have that security briefing with the service chiefs. And that's it on the program. Thank you so much for your time and company. I'm Jeffrey Uzongo.